Hey everyone, happy Wednesday evening. I wanted to get on here and do a quick video because I'm noticing that a lot of the things that I wrote out and put into a Substack post, and I've been meaning to post a video on, are my 2026 collective energy reading themes and predictions for the year. It is November now, midway through November, and back on nope, I don't know why I'm saying December. On October 29th, before I went to sleep, I was like, I want to do this. I just didn't it's so funny. I climb into bed a lot of nights and I'm like, I want to read, or I want to, I don't know, I want to do everything but. Oftentimes I want to do everything but go to sleep. But that night I was like, I really want to do this, and this would be fun to get this out of my brain, and not even out of my brain, but like dip into the energy and to see what comes up. And so I was like, let's just see what comes up, and if we need to add to it over like a few, do a few sessions of like reading energy and like seeing what I got, I would do that. I got most everything that one night, and then I think filled in some gaps when I posted it. I posted it on November 12th, so this was 6 days ago? I don't even know what the day is today. It's the 19th now. Okay, like a week ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and like read this out, because I know that some people prefer a video format as opposed to written. But just know I am fairly active on my Substack, and if you are interested in reading, doing a little more long form content as opposed to short form, it's so good for the brain. It's so refreshing. If you're like a reading lover or a book lover, I love the memes and things that I found when I was first exploring Substack, and it was like, Substack feels like going into like a cozy library and having people be like, I see you, I hear you, welcome. And it's just like this cozy place where people share their writing, and it's just, I don't know, this analog, mature, creative space, calming space, less modern, in the sense that a lot of things are geared to like, buy this now, do this now, go. It's like always like kind of like you're getting bitch slapped in the face. And and while I mean I have grown to like love Instagram in some ways, I've been like on the fence lately and like wondering whether I might delete the apps temporarily, or at any point in time delete them. Not delete my accounts, but delete them off my phone, and just like, I don't know. It's so hard as like a creator and someone with a small business and someone who wants to create like and establish a following on social media in some capacity, for that connection, for that growth of a business and what have you, to share what it is I have to share and express myself. I feel like I need to use these platforms, but it's tricky, and I'm still just getting used to like dipping my toes in to like putting myself out there a bit more and what have you. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and read these. But I was just, I guess, explaining myself, and here I went on my little ramble there. So here we go. 2026 collective energy reading themes and predictions. Here are some themes and predictions I have for the year ahead. I put these just, was it 2 days before Halloween? I posted these. I didn't post them. I wrote them down. So something that came forward, I saw in my mind's eye a rose, which was symbolizing the divine feminine. So for me, that energy and the knowing, people will, let me just read it, I guess. I'm here, I'm like wanting to describe it, but sometimes it's easier to just read it. part of me is like, I should edit this. I want this to be streamlined. It's so tricky because I'm one of those people who's like, I want to be straightforward and like no frills and real, but I also would prefer that things would be streamlined and not, I don't know, wobbly, but I'm still getting used to this. And so we'll see. If I took the time to like edit, I could, but depending on how long videos are, sometimes it's a pain in the neck to put what you record into an editor and then have to like cut and paste and things. It's just a lot. So that's why some people like hire editors to do that stuff. Oh goodness, wouldn't that be lovely? Anyway, if needed, I'll redo it. All right, divine feminine. So what I'm getting is that people are going to be becoming more attuned to the divine feminine energies, the Holy Spirit, Divine Mother, connecting with that energy more feeling more aware of it, their own intuitive abilities and their connection with the earth are going to be highlighted and strengthened. The next theme is that people will maybe getting outside into nature more to, unplug out of necessity and out of just desiring to do so. More tumult on the world stage, stirring things up, possibly in like big ways and such like as what happened with Charlie Kirk and George Floyd, those kind of things. But that came to mind and it just resonates. It would make sense. But I also feel strongly that if it does, if some incident like that does come about, that it may not have the impact that's intended by the people perpetrating it, carrying it out, because collective consciousness is in a state of rapidly rising. And many people are becoming more aware of the BS, and fewer people are as time goes on, will be falling for it or getting taken off center, or completely derailed by these incidents. So you can expect more, something to that effect. I didn't get anything explicit, but yeah, some major like trigger hot button type incident, or stirring up of that for like trying to polarize and pit people against one another, that sort of thing. The next theme or prediction says more people speaking up and speaking out about the corrupt agendas that they're seeing play out. Like some people are just going to be witnessing things, paying attention, connecting the dots, seeing certain things are happening and just being like, that's actually illegal, and like looking at going and looking at laws and being like, this is not supposed to be happening, and speaking up about it and putting that information out there so that more people can have that awareness and more people can step up and do something about it. Sometimes things grassroots, starting small, do what you can from where you're at. And the more that people are aware of this stuff, the more we can say, hey, no, we're not okay with this. Like, and it's interesting because when I wrote this, again, it wasn't even November. And in the past, like 2 or 3 weeks, I've been seeing just more and more like these things that I wrote down on this list of predictions have been happening. And so I'm like, I gotta make this video. Even if not a lot of people see it, at the very least, for those who prefer a video format, I wanted to do this so that they would have that. Not everybody has every app under the sun, and not everybody wants to explore every app that's out there. But I encourage you, if you are interested in reading and you want to see what I getting up to over there, please check it out. I feel like I'm better in some ways. I'm better at expressing myself and through writing. But I feel like the more I become accustomed to this, I will become a little smoother about it. Get the hang of it, you know what I mean? Okay, so the next one, I was just seeing or sensing, or it's either that just something just popped into my mind, or I had like a sense, or I saw it visually. Like I'm clairsentient and I'm clairvoyant. So what I got was weather and earth planetary events that are notable. It came to mind. I just thought of weather. And I think we're just going to continue seeing a lot of tumultuous weather. Some of it is going to be natural because the earth is going through a lot of fluctuations. The earth's poles have just shifted. The temperature has shifted. The solar flares, geomagnetic storms are affecting earth. And the earth is ascending. Her frequency is raising. And this is going to change the energies in the Schumann resonance of the earth's heartbeat. All of these things are fluctuating. And because of this, sometimes weather events are going to need to happen, and it's going to be like a way of her cleansing, purging, shaking it off. And so again, the fact that I just said that I think earthquakes are likely, and some of the weather events are not natural, and so it could well be that further weather. The word that came to mind or term was weather terrorism, but that's not what they call it. It's geoengineering. Thank you. Like thanking myself. Thank you, Jenny, for that. Further geoengineering with the HARP technology and stuff. I think they're going to continue that until that stuff is called out in such a way that we've got to stand up against it. I don't know. If we can put some legislation out there that says, hey, this is not okay. We know you're doing it. We can see this on radar that these things are happening. People are paying attention and pointing it out. You can poo-poo on them, call them out, or cancel them if they do speak out about it, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. So the same with chemtrails and things. So that's another thing I've been seeing people call out, and that a lot of states are actually putting in legislation at the state and local levels that they do not want this chemtrail stuff happening, because again, they're spraying these aluminum chemicals and things into the sky, and it spreads out and it turns into like fog, and that it affects the weather. It causes rain, and it's also spraying a lot of chemicals and things that we're breathing in, and it's affecting our health, and it's affecting the weather, and it's not natural, it's not normal. There's a lot of agendas at play, and we just don't need that kind of manipulation and harm to our bodies and into our environment, to our food. The stuff getting sprayed on our food, the glyphosate and different things like that. And so I don't know, I guess I file that under the weather, as well as under the people speaking up and speaking out about the corrupt agendas they're seeing playing out that are harmful to our well-being and our health, that are unsustainable. I also just thought of that we're going to experience more timeline shifts. They happen pretty frequently, honestly, but I think we're going to experience more positive changes, timeline shifting. So we can expect that. There was at least several times in this year that I noticed palpably that there were some shifts. This past year, I remember there was one right after the election, the presidential election in 2024. There was one right before the Aurora Borealis event in 2024. So there was at least two then. But 2025, I'm pretty sure there was at least 2 or 3 incidents during the year. I was like, something's shifted. I feel different. There's times where you just kind of almost be like, I feel like I'm in Eden right now. I just feel like there's this flow, this joy, this ease, this grace, it's just, and then you see everything and it just looks brighter, more beautiful, and you just, I don't know, if you've not experienced it, then perhaps this is going to sound silly. You'll be like, okay, that's all in your head, but you can go ahead and think whatever you want. But if you experience it, then you can understand that this is in fact happening, especially when the shifts are correlating with the Schumann spikes and the Schumann resonances and the different solar geomagnetic storms and solar radiation coming in and the different fluctuations we're having. So it's interesting when those do happen to correlate. So if you don't have apps like Solar Weather Live and different things like that, then and if you're wanting to know more about the solar flares and keep track, then I encourage you to get them. All right, onward here. strong elemental presence. So the dragon beings, fairies, and elemental beings, elves, the she, mermaids, and etc., are going to continue making their presence known more to people in spirit and otherwise. They are returning to our realms more again due to the shifting in frequency on the planet. They're playing a big role in assisting to anchor the light as well as support the Earth's grid systems during this time of planetary transition out of the old and into the new, aka ascension. And so I felt this really strongly. Yeah, it's magic. It's such a joyful, heart-centered feeling, and I have such a strong soul and heart connection with the fae and the elves and all of those beings. I know I've had lifetimes as some of these beings, and I have a fairy guide, I have an elven guide, a dragon guide, and a unicorn guide, and a mermaid guide. So it's wonderful. In recent years, I've made connections with these beings, and they are just brilliant, with such loving, potent, creative, inspiring energy, and they can really boost our awareness of the potentiality of our unlimitedness, and just really support us anchoring the light and raising our frequency. So if anybody is feeling more like finding these beings popping into their head more, or they're seeing cloud shapes that look like these beings, or you're online and these beings are like, you're seeing imagery of them and they just keep popping up, and you're like, what is this, a coincidence? No, it's not. Or if you feel yourself drawn to a book, or if you have an experience where you're meditating or dreaming and you see one of these beings, do your best to explore that if you feel called. It's not a coincidence. These beings are coming back. The dragons were in stasis in the earth for a long time. Fairies and elves and those types of beings kind of ducked out for a while. For the most part, they kind of have kept their distance from humanity since the Industrial Revolution. And so, yeah, now that our Earth's frequency is shifting and we are going through this ascension process, they are much more keen to reconnect, and they are supporting benevolent ET beings and Mother Earth Gaia, and supporting the Earth grids, and all kinds of different projects that have to do with anchoring the light right now. So very exciting. Next theme. People collectively will become more and more aware of their core traumas and wounds and begin processing them, healing them, especially surrounding complex trauma, which is a much wider occurrence and condition than many have ever known. Up until maybe this past year, it's been something that's only been recognized in like Canada, Australia, and the UK. The US has not identified it, and I don't think that's a coincidence. I think I'm not even going to get into that in this video, but many things are kept at bay when they have truth, and they would give us the insight and answers that would help us in our healing and our own awareness of who we are and where we're at. And so I don't think that's a coincidence that was kind of held back or limited with regards to it being considered an actual condition or being identified by like the DSM, and hopefully it will be included within the DSM if it hasn't already, because it's important. Most people that have anxiety have complex trauma. I can't claim that everyone does, but it's so much more common than anyone knows. Complex trauma being a condition where you have interpersonal trauma with friends, family, loved ones. You experience trauma that's relational in nature from early on or at any time in your life over an extended period of time. That causes it's a complex trauma. It's so much harder to heal when it's relational and it's over a long period of time. and it's unpredictable in nature, meaning you don't know. It's like comes and goes. That's traumatic. And so many people have it. And I'm so grateful that I read the book, Complex Trauma from Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. And then there was another one by him. I can't remember the name of it, but I have listed it in past videos. Something about walking the tiger. He's got another book. There's 2 or 3 books by him on the topic, so just look up Pete Walker and you'll find it. But anyway, yes, this is something that I've been working on, and just it came up in my mind, and it makes sense that the more that awareness is coming, the more that the frequency of the earth is rising, the more that the collective shadow is surfacing for awareness, the more that people are going to be, in turn, processing and having these things surface. And so, yes, I do think that we're going to be seeing a continuation of that. I say continuation because it's something I've been working on this past year or two myself. So the next thing is films or media coming out that reveal a lot of truths and have healing messages and themes in them, or revealing messages in them. This came to mind and feels very likely. And some examples of this are like K-pop Demon Hunters, with shadow work themes and like the demonic element being kind of mentioned, even if it was in like a fictional way, calling out the music industry for having demonic influence. They kind of spelled it out, but they did so in such a way that it's a fake story. Oh, it's just fiction. A lot of films are based off of truth, and they are put out in such a way that it's like, oh, this is fantasy, or oh, this is fiction, so that people, unless you're spiritually inclined and aware and consciously aware, you wouldn't necessarily know. But the people that know are like, oh, I see that. I see what they're doing there. Another example is the film that came out a number of years back called Sound of Freedom, that was talking about the, as I just looked up, it was 2222. Very interesting. I hadn't had a desire to look up at my timer until just then. 2222. Sound of Freedom was referencing, and I haven't seen it yet, but I would like to, even though I know the topic that it covers is really not a comfortable, happy one. It's with regards to the child sex trafficking issue that we have all over the world. And it's interesting because it's such an important issue. It's such a very important, traumatic, despicable thing. It's just taking place, but not many people want to talk about it or address it. But there were people that actually went that extra mile and put this film out there to get that information out there, to speak up about it. And so I do think we can expect more people to put videos out on YouTube, or make news reports or articles online on their blogs, or actual documentaries speaking up about stuff, or actual films, or films or shows that have these themes or truth-telling aspects. So pay attention for that. I do think that's going to be very likely. Because again, we've been seeing it in recent years, and that only makes sense that would continue, or even increase. Because that's how our shadow, the collective shadow, exposes what's going on. It surfaces sometimes through art and through media in that way. It's one of the ways that awareness comes forward. The next one is interesting because I just saw an article in my local news that was speaking to this. It's coming to pass. This is like the second or third theme from my report here that I'm seeing come to pass already. And I literally just wrote this 2 or 3 days before the end of October. And it is not even the end of November yet, and it's already come to pass. So that's why I'm like, I have to do this little video. I have to speak up. Epstein's list it came to mind, and it's been something that's been popping in for me here and there periodically of like, okay, I back over the summer listened to a friend of mine sent something. She was just listening, browsing some videos, and she was like, oh, this medium says that this is gonna, come about this way. And I'm like, that's interesting, but again, just because someone's a medium and is able to get messages from spirit doesn't mean that they are connected with God, or that their spirit guides or the people giving them information are reputable, honest, benevolent spirits. So we can only take it with a grain of salt. But I was like, that would be cool. But I was like, I'll just wait and see. But this popped into my mind that Epstein's list would be revealed, as well as potentially, as well as more with regards to the entertainment industry's corruption coming to the light. So potentially with the same with government and shadow government and CIA. It depends on which names are mentioned in the list. I have to figure anything government or CIA. I would love for all of that to be brought to the light, and I think it's possible. But I do know that CIA and shadow government, they probably have their ways of trying to like get out of that stuff or hide it. So I'm just gonna say a little prayer, cross my fingers, that those who are doing wrong and harming the earth and the people on it, and not honoring God's will, the earth's free will, and human life free will, and harming people, that it's all brought to light. So the next theme: people are less inhibited by what held them back previously, in some cases making big moves and seeing some big progress and blossoming. I've been kind of having this energetic sense in my own life over the past year, maybe even 2 years, but specifically this year. And it popped into my head again, and I just feel that with the 2026 being the year of the fire horse, that's the Chinese zodiac energies for the 2026 year. It makes sense that things that were holding people back, they're just these barriers or these blocks, or this resistance is going to shift for many people. Especially when one is aligned with God's will, and if you're aligned with your soul and your soul's purpose, progress will be made by those who are intent to grow and who are on the right path and are doing that inner work. So that's exciting. That is exciting. Something that came up, and it's interesting. I'm wondering how this is going to play out, but in a way it makes sense, because art. This has to do with art appreciation increasing. Feels likely as a natural byproduct to consciousness raising and people becoming more soul and heart aligned. The higher frequency on the planet, living and vibrating at a higher frequency, being on a higher vibrational reality, it makes sense that we would be more expressing of the heart and more it's just a natural human byproduct. We are creative souls, co-creative and creative beings, and so that makes a lot of sense. I think one of the next ones has to do with creativity as well, but so I don't want to jump ahead, but perhaps I should have. Yeah, that's one of the last themes here. I'll just say that now. More access to creativity, more creative expression. People are going to be more called to or curious about dabbling with new mediums artistically, whether it's drawing, coloring, or just trying something out you've never tried, but you kind of just want to play with it, or you're really going to just feel called or pulled to a certain medium or mode of creation. I felt this was a strong message for myself, but I also do feel this was likely for the collective as well. Okay, more people will be unplugging and reading more, doing more analog activities and analog stuff tech-free, and also doing more activities and things together in person. I do think that's healthy. I do feel like I'm being called to do that, but it just makes so much sense that vibrationally and with the shift ongoing, that is going to be a natural shift or coming about. More aurora borealis worldwide events. And it's interesting because I swear to you, like a couple weeks after this, after I wrote this on the 29th of October, there was another incident, or not incident, but a instance of aurora borealis visible from my own home. There's been 3 times in the past year and a half. I missed the first one. I was exhausted. Solar flare activity really wipes me out sometimes. And that first time in May 2024, I was too tired and I just went straight to bed. My friend was like, "It's happening." And I was like, I didn't even see her messages till the next day. I'm like, girl, I was in bed and in my brain, I was like, oh, that's probably happening, but I am not getting out of bed. When I am really tired, sometimes I'm just like, yeah, nope, nope. So that was really not my norm, because when it comes to me with Northern Lights, I just get really excited and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do my best to capture it. And so I did in October 2024, and I did just recently. Goodness, I wish I knew when it was. I think it was early November. One of the first weeks in November, I think. So yeah, that was a treat to catch again. So I do, that did come to mind, and I do absolutely believe there's going to be likely more instances in 2026 of that happening worldwide, and in areas where it normally doesn't happen, because the influx of solar radiation and the aurora plasma from the sun, it's just a natural byproduct of this geomagnetic storms and solar flare activity, which is going to continue. A lot of intuitives that I follow or listen to have said that from 2026 through 2028, it's going to be a specific window of time where the solar radiation and the solar flares are going to be the most intense. And it's going to be during that time where we're going to have a lot of that activity. And so it makes sense that I had that theme come up. The next one is that certain prophecies are going to begin to be met, fulfilled. This is in some ways a continuation or continuing theme. There have been some prophecies from all time periods and cultures. Anyone can prophesize, by the way. It simply requires an attunement and alignment to God and the willingness to speak what God would have you speak and share. Just being willing to be that conduit, being that channel, opening your mouth and your throat chakra, and sharing what you're called to share and express from the heart and soul. And so that is what it is to prophecy. But there have been many. There's been the Hopi prophecy, the Lakota, the Mayans, the I don't know if I'm missing any at the moment, but those are some of the ones that are on the top of my head. The religious people from the Bible's times have prophesied about different things in the end of days. My hair is starting to grow a little longer, and I'm noticing being on camera, I'm noticing my layers and where they're at, so I can't help but kind of keep touching them. So I apologize. I don't stare at myself in the mirror very often or on camera. So sometimes when I'm on here, I treat it like a mirror, and I don't mind me. ADHD. So yes, I do perceive that a lot of that will be coming more to the light. More people are going to become aware of that, and a continuation of that theme of prophecy being met and coming to fruition. The next one is distortions and corruption that's been hidden within religion beginning to be exposed. I have a question mark here. It came to mind. It's something I'm hoping, not like I I'm only stalling because I read something recently. It's like, if we are out here being like, I want to see all the dark people get brought to justice, it's kind of like some part of me, it's just something to do with shadow work. And if we're like sitting around being like, I want to eat my popcorn and watch all of like the dark stuff get exposed and be like, yeah, I know they, like, even though it's natural to want to see the darkness exposed and stop and justice being brought about, if we are wanting to sit around and like point fingers or enjoy that process, then that's coming from like ego or from like a shadow aspect. And there may be a part of ourselves that's like feeling not enough, or something to do with shame or what have you. So anyway, I wish I had that handy. I would just like read the blurb from the article I read recently, but it was saying that, yeah, anyway, rambling perhaps, forgive me. It's something I reshared on my Substack, so if you happen to give that a check, it's a note I think I reposted, at least I'm pretty sure, about that topic. It's getting late. Apologies. I'm trying to be concise here, but I have a tendency of over explaining, and then I have ADHD, so I bounce around a little bit. Distortions and corruption hidden within religion. So yes, I did a question mark. I felt like this was a bit uncertain, but it came to mind. So just watch out for this. This may come about. I'm hoping it will. And you know, other than the Dalai Lama, I think something in recent years came up with the Dalai Lama, and it brought him into question. And I'm like, you know what? I mean, to be fair, that has happened. And there has been instances with like Catholic priests and like I know the Vatican and the Catholic Church has a lot it's been hiding. And so I do feel that corruption hidden within religion beginning to get exposed. It's going to happen eventually. I do truly firmly believe that. So I guess when it's time, when it's ready to be surfaced, when it bubbles up, it will bubble up. So just watch out for that. New progress and development of technology, inventions that support the greater good being created or released. I'd like to see more of that. And that makes sense because, again, we are progressing, we are evolving. Refining, so this is a big theme, refining and clarity, a sharpening. This was a bigger theme as our energy and awareness will be refining, and we will have more clarity and sharpened intuition. We will feel like there's less getting stuck in the mind. We will find it easier to have more presence, to trust in the flow of life and in the divine. So I liked that, a sense of refining, clarity, and sharpening. Yep. The Aurora Earth, aka New Earth or Heaven on Earth. The Aurora Earth, light getting more solidly anchored. This is going to be palpable for those who are aligned with it, as well as a continuation and strengthening of last year's theme of the 3D matrix reality, or the 3D timeline and 5D timeline split becoming apparent and palpable. That was one of my themes from last year, that this shifting of two very different vibrational realities and timelines becoming very like obvious and becoming palpable and visceral for people in a way that maybe they had never experienced before. So that is going to continue to become even more apparent and perhaps strengthening. So it's going to become even more stark. So just keep aware for that. You're gonna find like some people are just, it's gonna seem like some people are living in a different world than you. Other people that you talk to are they're just not on your wavelength. They're the way that some people are seeing things on the news, or some people that you know, or what they're listening to and or believing or talking about, or how they're living, are gonna seem so foreign and different and or not make sense. It's gonna be like you're speaking different language. So Yeah, I just remember when there were wildfires in California, there were some people who were like, I went to work and it was like work as usual. And I don't know why people are reporting about all these things about the fires, because I don't see any of that in my actual life driving to and from, and I'm in this area. Whereas other people, and it's like, were they on a different timeline? Like, why would they say that? Because other people from that area were like, oh my God, it's everywhere. We're all gonna die, you know? And so to me, that's like, it's very possible that either A, there was brainwashing, and so these people are just seeing what they believed, which almost doesn't make sense, but I guess, I mean, it might play a role. Or it's that people are likely just truly operating on a different frequency, and therefore they were actually living on different timelines. And so when you see someone posting on Instagram, like there's 5 posts that say one thing, and then there's going to be 1 or 2 like, hey, that's not actually happening. It's because multiple things can be true, and it's because what you're experiencing is dependent on your vibrational reality. And so that when you're on a higher timeline, you're going to be experiencing things very differently than those on a lower timeline. So anyhow, I wanted to try to articulate that and give examples for people that maybe aren't familiar or have not yet experienced it, or at least didn't know. And maybe now you might think, oh, that actually kind of sounds like something I went through. But if you've never heard someone discuss it before, then you may not have had like a term to put it to. So it's just the 3D to 5D timeline split is what that is. So just to recap, the Aurora Earth, New Earth, Heaven on Earth, light will be anchoring more solidly. And 3D to 5D timeline split is going to become even more palpable and apparent. The next theme is reverence for holiness and the sacred is increasing and returning. And this is just beautiful. Beautiful. Along with this will be probable spiritual connections and shared spiritual experiences, which will begin uniting people together due to the ascension process. So more people are going to be having similar experiences and new experiences, psychic experiences, spiritual experiences. And because of these shared experiences, they're going to be being like, finding one another and being able to unite and support one another and just come together in that way. I feel that in New Age spirituality, holiness and God and a connection with God and reverence for God, and you know what I mean? A lot of that got lost. I think a lot of people need to do their inner healing work with regards to their God wounds and this and that. And when they do, and as they do, they're going to be able to, they're going to reconnect with the part of them that needs God, and they're going to open to God more, Mother, Father, God in all things, and what God means to them, and experience more of that. Again, take this if it resonates, but I think many people seeking externally may come to realize, wow, everything I need is within me. I am God experiencing life as a human in this form temporarily. We are all one. We are all in this together. I am a reflection of the one God, and all is happening all at once, and it's like all a reflection, and to live through the mind separate from the heart and soul, and living from the ego that disconnects us from that part of us that is able to connect with God within. Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas spoke and said, the kingdom of heaven lies within you. We all have a spark of the divine within us, and we can connect with God one-on-one directly. We don't need an intermediary, a priest, a pastor, a teacher, a guru. Sometimes they can be helpful, but we're getting to a point in our spiritual evolution as human beings, as a species, that we no longer need that, where we can do that ourselves, and we're remembering that we can do that. And Jesus was a way shower and said that this you shall do and more. Everything that in the Gospel of the book of John, Jesus said, "This you shall do and more." And he was speaking to his disciples, and he was referring to the miracles that he had performed, and letting them know, everything I have done, all of this, you shall do and more. And he was saying that I go unto the Father. My Father and I are one. That's because he was living the Christ consciousness. He was embodying it. Heart and mind coherence. Christ consciousness is a frequency. It is returning to humanity. Mary Magdalene embodied the feminine Christ. Mother Mary was embodying the divine feminine. And Jesus embodied the masculine. And he honored and loved Mary. And there's just so many distortions in religion. So it just makes all the sense to me that this came forward with regards to reverence for God and a reconnection with God, or specifically just holiness and the sacred, recognizing the importance of it, reconnecting with those things, those ideas and those aspects of connection with God, reverence, holiness, and the sacred. A lot of things have been made to be dirty, or sexuality has been made to be dirty, and I think certain things have been lost in translation, whereas, like, I don't know, I'm not saying tantra is wrong or bad. I think it's an aspect of, like, people can experience sexuality in a way that is spiritual, but is tantra really spiritual? It could be, and I think it has been at times, but I think many people are just kind of living out their sexual fantasies and, like, their, I don't want to say heathenry, that's not the word, hedonist tendencies, sexual addictions, and, living through the flesh. And again, we're here to be in the flesh. We're here to be in the body and to eat food and to enjoy being in the body and being here physically in a way that we cannot when we are in higher frequency reality. One of the messages that came through in the mediumship reading that I received a month after my father passed away, I received a medium reading, and she gave through a really unique message and said that God can't eat a poached egg. So God, the all that is in the formless void, isn't eating an egg, but we are aspects of God. We are reflections of God. We are God in human form, and we are here in the 3D or 4D. We're moving into the 4D, 5D. We are able to be in the physical and to eat poached eggs. So we are here to be and to enjoy in the physical. So I'm not here to say that we're not meant to enjoy pleasure. It's just, I think a lot of things have, a lot of focus has been put on the external, and a lot of people have escaped pain and escaped loneliness and escaped their, I think a lot of people have sought to make things outside of them God, unconsciously made sex and relationships with others and food or money or any external target or addiction to fulfill their need and their pain, or to numb themselves out, or it becomes a replacement for God in many cases. And so it makes me feel good when seeing that a reverence for God and for holiness and the sacred will be increasing and returning. That just feels good in my heart, and I hope that made sense. I know I just explained that a lot, but I don't know. I guess I felt it needed to be fleshed out a little more. So there's that. And again, if you want a more streamlined version of this, go to my Substack. Substack, I was going to say, I think it's Jennifer L. Cusumano on Substack, or Jennifer Cusumano on Substack. So, I don't think I only have a few more. Something that came to mind is that there will be more destined meetings and unity. Could be that this is a year that a lot of people have signed up, made soul contracts to meet significant people in their lives. Take this if it resonates. It came to mind, so that's exciting. And it makes sense that more people would be uniting with soul family and community. Yeah, with the year of the fire horse, that's going to be a lot of things coming together more quickly, and it's going to be a more masculine year. This year was the, I think, wood snake, year of the wood snake, and that was much more yin and feminine, and so we're going to be kind of seeing things kind of amp up or quicken in many ways. So yes, destined meetings or unity. Oh, I had a pop-up come up. So yeah, take that if that resonates. Clearing of pollution came to mind. Ocean cleanup efforts, less junk being allowed to dump into the ocean. I have a question mark, but it did come to mind, and it just makes sense to me as a continuation of some of the other themes and just where we're going as a planet and collective, that would be a thing to come forward. What makes me sad is to know that on a I almost burped. Okay. Excuse me. I've always kind of wanted to go on a cruise ship. Norwegian cruise lines look amazing. I'm not saying I never would, but when I heard that like wastewater and like sewage gets dumped from these ships into the ocean, it didn't make me happy to hear it. I would love to for a new way to dispose of that sort of stuff or purify it before it gets done away with wherever it needs to go. I would love to see new ways of dealing with that rather than dumping it into the ocean directly like that. So I don't know. That's what came through, and I hope that it's true. And I have and actually heard at least one or two cases of people finding ways of like breaking down plastics and things, like people winning prizes, young people coming up with solutions. Like one was like an insect that eats plastic, and then there was some other thing that I heard recently about something about plastic or pollution cleanup, like some new thing was brought about. So again, hopeful that clearing of pollution, especially ocean cleanup, that would be a theme to come forward. There will be a continuation of the influx of higher frequency energies, solar radiation, solar plasma, and accompanying ascension symptoms. And I recommend for people to, in order to aid themselves, support themselves during this, their wellness, to deal with these changes, hydration, electrolytes, grounding, and just allow for ample rest and exercise as needed. You'll know what your body needs. It'll tell you. Spend more time in nature, especially by trees and water. This is all supportive. So just take care of your nervous system. And when we were getting these solar flare energies and what have you, all this solar plasma coming in, it can do a number on our bodies, and it can take time for us to adjust to it. So just take care of and listen to your body. Light language. I just feel like we're gonna have more people tapping into this. Many will find ourselves able to access or channel this light language more easily. This makes sense as I have had a couple of spontaneous moments in recent months of this taking place. So I think it's just, I don't know, parts of ourselves that we lost touch with that we're reconnecting with. It could be past life stuff, or it could just be new downloads of information, or as we raise in frequency, maybe we're able to access aspects of ourselves or our souls from other lifetimes that we are now like able to reconnect with. And it could be just like spirit downloads from guides or our higher self. So light language. More people may find themselves accessing it or tapping into that. So that's kind of fun and exciting. I feel like the Na'vi on Avatar were speaking light language. I feel like I saw a video on that online. Look it up if you haven't. It's fun. I get into that sort of thing from time to time. I only have 2 more themes here. More community. And this is kind of an extension of, I think, another idea of more people finding unity together. and people that maybe have soul contracted people coming together, but this is specifically about community. So here it says, communities and groups joining together in the spirit of union and peace, love, supporting one another, social groups, spiritual groups, healing groups, support groups, or creative groups, even musical groups. And also intentional communities come to mind. So yeah, that makes sense. We need to come together. The more we do this, the more we can build things together, hold space for one another, co-regulate, connect, build intimacy, and heal and grow together, support one another through these times. And I think it's going to be really needed, and it's really exciting. So exciting, but also like, especially if you're like a hermit and highly sensitive person that's kind of like introverted. So it's a both. Like, part of me is like, yes, bring it on. I want it so much, because I do. Because we are all relational beings. We need intimacy and connection and that. But it's a mixed thing, right? And the last one here, more access to creativity. And again, I think I had mentioned this earlier. So yeah, if you find yourself feeling called to dabble more in creative expression, like painting, drawing, doing something you've never done but you've always kind of wanted to try, or trying out a new form of art, or a new like my friend has oil pastels, and I've not worked with oil pastels since I was in maybe high school or middle school or something. I think that might be fun to play with and try out. I don't know. Yeah, just trying new things out that you've never tried. Just let yourself, I don't know, have fun and play with creative expression, photo shoots, costuming, singing, music, anything you're called to do, just be open to it, especially if it just really resonates and brings you joy and feels right. So I hope that you've enjoyed this update. I did not expect for it to be almost an hour long. It's been 56 minutes, 56 as I just said that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful, blessed 2026 and beyond. Bye for now.